right, and welcome to episode 1 of Among the Shadows podcast, the podcast that immerses you, the listener, into the mysterious world of the paranormal. I'm your host, Azrael, and with me is Desimone.
Good afternoon, everybody. Thank you for joining us on this nice, cold January afternoon.
And definitely cold this morning. All right, so I thought for the first episode, it would be good to start from the beginning, like as far as personal experiences. So you yourself, do you remember your first paranormal experience?
Definitely. And yeah, that was 1991 in Chicago. I was 6 years old, staying with my cousin on the weekends. He stayed in Chicago, lived off the street, Walcott. I think it was McKinley Park area or Bridgeport area. And, used to go on the weekends over there, have a good time with family. And, but the year of 1990, once we came over and said hi to everybody, gave everybody hugs, me and my cousin would go over, go outside or to the basement and play. He was a few years older than me. And as we're playing, he always have to mention that, the previous night, something would grab his legs or pull the blankets off of him or throw him off the bed. And at the time, I'm not thinking of something paranormal. I'm just like, okay, it must be your dad. Because my uncle was a big prankster. He always joked around and stuff. But he would be like, it's not my dad, because if my dad does stuff like that, my dad will eventually pop up and laugh at me or something, big jokester. But at the time, I'm not thinking of paranormal. The only thing scary to me at the time was Freddy Krueger and Michael Myers, and not knowing about the other realm and stuff. So me and the innocence, I always tell him, pray to God. Pray to God. He'll protect you no matter what. At this time, I was Jehovah's Witness, and he was Catholic. And growing up, Jehovah's Witness, we're told that the Catholic religion is bad, evil, satanic in a way. So, of course, every Catholic home had the Virgin Mary, the big crucifix with Jesus, saints. That was all scary to me because of what was put in my brain, But it went along like that every other weekend or every weekend. Say hi to everybody, and then we start playing, and then he'll have to mention, last night or the last few nights, something was pulling my legs real bad. I don't know where it is, but my response to him was like, did you pray to God? Did you pray? He's going to protect you. So it went on like that. November 1990, his little brother was born. And, so fast forward a few months to the next year, I'm thinking it was February or March. It was still cold outside, and, it's 5 a.m, and he wakes me up frantic, sweating, and kind of tear-eye and stuff. And he's like, hey, do you want to watch some TV? And I'm like, okay, fine. It's Sunday morning, cartoons are on, you know how it was back in the day. Good cartoons Sunday morning. So we go to the living room. It's still dark outside. And I start watching the Smurfs. As I'm watching the Smurfs all happy in the living room, he's like, I'm going to take a shower. I'm not thinking of it. I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. But sorry to embarrass you, my cuz, but I think he soiled himself. Because whatever he experienced at that moment scared him, scared the crap out of him, So I'm watching the Smurfs. Smurfs finish, and then King Arthur comes on. Keep in mind, everybody's still sleeping. He's still in the bathroom in the shower. And I'm having a good old time watching now King Arthur. And as I'm watching TV in the dark at 5 a.m, I hear like some noise or body movement behind me by the hallway. And as I'm trying not to pay attention to it and just watching TV, I hear like like breathing, but it's not like an adult breathing, like a baby. You know, and everybody out there that will, you know, handle babies, you know, that little cute breathing noise they make, you know, that type of thing. And then the noise of diaper, you know, the baby moving around, you hear the crinkling of the diaper.
Okay.
So I'm hearing that. So, you know, I ignored the TV. I looked behind the couch, and I looked by the entrance of the hallway in the dark, and I see my cousin, his little brother, like standing in the entrance of the hallway, one arm on the frame of the entrance, and like he was trying to balance himself like any little baby that's learning how to stand and walk, and he's just there. And I'm just looking at him, and I'm calling out to him. You know, I'm calling him, and you know, I'm clapping my hands, you know, clapping, come here, come here, come here, and he's just standing there, and you could hear the breathing and the little movements he's doing. You could hear the crinkling of the diaper. So I'm like, come here. I tried for like a minute or two. I'm like, come on. And he's just in the dark right there. So I'm like, whatever. So I go back watching King Arthur, think nothing of it. Then towards the end of King Arthur, my cousin comes out of the bathroom, and he's like, hey, you ready to go back to bed? And I'm like, no, I want to watch cartoons. He's like, no, you know, mom and dad are going to get mad if we're up this early. So whatever. So turn on the TV, and we're walking back, and I'm like, hey, your little brother, he's out of the crib. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, yeah, I saw him by the hallway. He's trying to stand. He's like, he can't get out of the crib. He's still a baby, you know? And I'm like, yeah, I know, but I saw him by the crib. He's like, no. So then we go into his brother's room, which at the time he was sharing with his older sister. And the sister's sleeping, and the baby is in the crib, sound asleep. And he's like, you see? That wasn't him. So I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, what did I just see? What in the world did I just see there? So we go back to bed, and that's it. You know, that was my first experience. And it took me a few years as I'm getting older to process of what I experienced, because through the time I kept going over there on the weekends, as I'm getting older, I'm now learning about the paranormal, the ghosts, you know, evil stuff. And now I'm getting scared to go in there on the weekends, because I don't want to experience this, you know, again. And many more times, many more years, he'll wake me up at night. Did you grab me? I'm like, no. And there's times I woke up and he's on top of me. And like, I'm like, hey, he's like, hey, that wasn't me, you know. And like something will toss him off the bed sometimes. And it went like that for a few years until they moved out of the house and they went down south to Texas. But that house itself, everybody that will visit will always, you know, say similar things like, man, this house gives me the chills. You know, this house feels weird. They were on the first floor and in the basement, and second story was an apartment they rented out. And same thing up there. When my grandma came from Mexico to stay up there for a few years, her and her daughter, you know, my aunt, they'll say the same thing at night. Sometimes they'll hear the light flickering in the closet until they get up and turn on the lights, and it's nothing. The light's not even turning on in the closets. They'll be like, they're trying to sleep, and they hear movement in the kitchen. They hear like if someone's is rattling the dishes and stuff. They go check, nothing. And it went like that many times. There's one of my other cousins, many family members, was having a birthday party up there when she was a kid. And, you know, family pictures. And one of the pictures in the background of the hall, the entrance on the second floor, they see a silhouette of a woman. And that silhouette of the woman was the previous tenant that lived there. She died there. And yeah, so I'm trying to look for that picture because it's creepy.
That would be really good to see. What kind of a camera was it?
It was
like a digital? Well, no, what time?
No, I think it was like 94, 95.
Okay, so like a film.
Yeah, film.
35 millimeter maybe.
And,
wow.
But then downstairs too, as my cousin, you know, as we get older, now his baby, you know, his brother, you know, is now a toddler. And I talked to him now, and he's like, yeah, I experienced stuff down there too, like they had a computer room in the basement, and of course they weren't allowed to go in it, so the door was always locked. But he said one time he was downstairs playing, and he saw the lights run, and he saw like, like a movement in there, and he thought his brother, his bigger brother, was in there playing the games. So he was trying to like, get his attention, and he thought his brother was ignoring him. So he started throwing, I think, Uno cards under the door. And then something was throwing the Uno cards back at him.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. And
how old was he when that happened?
I think he had to be, I'm guessing, 4 or 5 years old.
Really? And that's the thing, he didn't understand what
at
was
the time.
going on.
Yeah. And as we got, time went on, and we spoke about it back in 2017, actually, when he came over out here to visit. And I'm like, you experienced stuff too? And he was like, yeah. And he was telling me all the stuff. And I'm like, jeez.
Now, did any of the adults ever say that they seen aside from the noises, they seen anything?
They never mentioned it. And either they probably didn't want to scare us. But when we tell them stuff, they were like, oh, it's nothing. It's just your imagination. And then when I'll tell my dad, back home, my dad would be like, oh, that's they're Catholics. They're Catholics. All that statue stuff, it's bringing demons, evil spirits and stuff. So I'm getting more scared now, like, oh, I don't want to go there again. But my dad's like, oh, that's all stuff. Just make sure you pray to God, you'll be fine. And yeah, that's how I was.
So as them being Catholics, did they have a lot of like iconography as far as like crucifixes, or I know you said statues. Did they have a lot of stuff throughout the house that you recall?
Yeah, they had the Virgin Mary statue. They had portraits of saints and stuff.
Okay.
I know they had a lot of crucifix everywhere. And some of the crucifix had some holy water inside. Like you remove the side and there's like holy water.
Right.
So my aunt was big on that. She still is. As a kid growing up and being in a different religion, all that stuff was, evil to me, And now I'm just like, no, it don't bother me. I love seeing that stuff on, in people's houses. It's like I feel like it's a big deterrent for evil, to enter your home, something negative. But yeah, that's how it went. And to this day, I don't know what that was, because from everybody experiencing stuff in there, was it really, angry spirit that didn't pass on? Was it something, negative, demonic that was conjured in the past before they moved there? Because it was active. It was active. You heard the common footsteps in the hallway. You hear the kitchen, like the chairs move at night when we're trying to sleep. When we're sleeping in the room, we'll, close the door, and you hear like someone walking by, just like creeping. And we'll be like, oh, turn off the lights, it's your dad, it's my uncle, And then nothing. And whenever it was my uncle, he'll open the door and he would yell at us, go back, go to bed or I'm gonna mess y'all up, And the difference is, it's like when we thought it was him, the steps went away. And then as we're still up, we'll hear the steps coming back again. And yeah.
That's a lot to experience.
Yeah. The house is still there. His uncle lives there now.
Okay.
And I just spoke to him recently, and he said, yeah, the house is still active. And, the same footsteps, pounding, stuff moving, things they think they hear breaking, still happening. Silhouettes or shadows, whatever you want to call them.
Right.
I never seen a shadow there. I never seen nothing popping out or nothing. It was just that one time, it was whatever it was, looked like a baby. Right. Standing, balancing itself on the hallway. And that was the only thing I saw with my own eyes. Everything else I heard as years went on. It's like, I continued staying there on the weekends. Yeah, and that was my first experience,
It's a hell of an experience.
Yeah. And as time went on now, growing up, I experienced a lot more stuff, at work, other people, places, my friends, some other friends, their houses. We experienced something at one of your houses. Right. And what was it, 2008?
Yeah, around 2008.
Yeah, in Lake Station, Indiana. That shadow, whatever I saw, scared the crap out of me. But you already experienced stuff in the past there, too. So you already knew something was there.
Yeah, it was mostly sounds, though, like if somebody was in the house.
Yeah, but we'll get that to another episodes, because I got many other stories.
I mean, that's a lot and it's been with you.
Yeah.
as a child. I mean, if you think it's a ghost, that's one thing as far as like the footsteps and noises, but apparitions, of a child, the woman, the picture, and then you had your cousin saying the Uno cards under the door. I mean, now that's something intelligent then. So that's very interesting.
Yeah, can be.
How old was the house? Do you know?
Jeez, I don't know. It's an old school Chicago home.
Yeah.
If you know what I'm talking about, it's an old school Chicago home. Second story, long stairwell.
Right.
And it's still there though.
I'd be curious on the history of the house then. Maybe if something did happen there, or if something, because I mean that's a lot of activity to be occurring that consistently, and then over that length of time.
Yeah, and it's still active today. So.
And when's the last time you've been back there?
Jeez.
How old do you think you were?
It was 1997.
Okay, 97.
97. Yeah, 97. And then they moved to Texas.
And now since he's moved after, did he ever experience anything after that, like at where he lives now? Or did he ever talk about it again?
They moved to Texas. Yeah, they experienced some stuff, but not like that. Not as bad as that.
Okay.
They moved about 3 times. Their final home where they stood there the longest, it was a big home, 2-story, and had so many acres of land, farm in the back, and their neighbors were like two houses on each side. Now, something horrific happened when they first moved there. My little cousin, the baby, who's now 12, 13 years old at the time, saw the neighbor's son walking around in the house. But the thing is, when they first moved there, the neighbor's son murdered his parents and then went to their house, knocked on the door, but they were in Chicago at the time for the summer, and there was like bloody knuckle prints. And then he went to the other house, which his best friend lived in. And then they drove off in a car, and then it was a murder-suicide afterwards. But as time went on, my little cousins, they will say that they will see him in the house still.
Really?
Yeah. And then in the farm area, I don't know, you'll hear like some weird noises. And it's not the cows, it's not the pigs, it's not the horses, It was like you'll hear rattle in there. When we had to go back there to feed the pigs and stuff, and it'll be at night sometimes because we'll be too lazy to go during the day and feed them, you know. So we had to go. My aunt would be like, "You need to go before your uncle gets mad," So we'll go, and we heard some noises. I don't know what they were, but it could have been the building, the farm itself, old rattling from the wind. So, but I never experienced nothing there, personally. But they as time went on, they all experienced stuff in their own times. So.
Wow. Okay. So that was. How old were you when you went to visit them there?
In Texas, at that farmhouse, I was like 99. 99. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, they moved to a big house in 99, and.
Okay, so that was just a couple years after they moved down there.
Yeah.
Okay. You did tell your parents about it though, about the stuff you seen at the other house, the Chicago house.
But my dad's a religious man, so he always just say, "Well, that's Catholics for you, That's demonic stuff. That's evil. Stay away from it. That's why they're experiencing all that stuff." But then reality is like, no, dude, there's history to that house. Something happened.
Right.
Something either bad or people passed on. We know for sure the lady upstairs passed away from an illness or something.
Oh, okay, so someone did die in the house.
Yeah. That lady in the picture that I was telling you about.
Okay.
Yeah.
But that was before any of your family moved in there, like your cousins, or was that part of your family?
Yeah, upstairs. So back in Chicago, like my cousins I was talking about. But then eventually my grandma moved up there. Okay. And then her older daughter, my aunt, they stood up there for like 2-3 years. Okay. And that's how they're telling us the stories upstairs, about the rattling, the flicking of the lights. But like I said, my other cousin, she had her birthday party up there. And that's when they're taking pictures, fun times. And then in the background, one of the pictures, boom, you saw that silhouette.
Now, did you see the picture or no?
I think I glimpsed at it, but when I was a kid. Okay. I was looking at the pictures like, oh, you guys had a great time. I wish I was invited, but we couldn't because it's a religion. We couldn't really participate in that stuff. So, but I remember looking at the picture, but I just didn't think nothing of it. And then years later, she reminded me, we're talking about paranormal stuff, and she said about that picture, and I'm like, yeah, I remember it, but I just didn't think nothing of it at the time. So
did she remember like how detailed? Like, was it a full apparition?
Yeah,
did
like
it look like the
like
woman?
This woman when she was alive. Like I think she was a teacher too, but long brunette hair, ponytail, glasses. She had a big nose, white woman, and you know she looked a little old, and she always had like a dress top, but like the old, you know, the '90s, the
the shoulder pads.
The shoulder pads.
Yeah, okay.
Like that was her belt. You know, she wasn't. You know, and in that picture, you saw, if I can remember, like her nose and her profile.
Wow.
On the side, and
Okay.
I was just like, Jesus. I'm gonna try and get in contact with her to see if she ever found the picture.
Yeah, that'd be interesting to see. And that's the thing, that was it really her? Because if she was a teacher, like what would cause her? If, let's just say, for instance, if it was the woman that passed away, why would she go to this lengths to almost like terrorize everyone in the house? Why would she do that? So I don't believe that could be. You know, it could just be maybe a demon. You know, they say like demons know everything about you. They're with you from the day you're born. So to trick you, just like you said, maybe it was a demon appearing to be the child to get you to maybe feed into it, to give it energy so it can manifest in other things.
Just get close to it, and it does something to me. It's scared the living crap, you know. Yeah, that's what I experienced there, you know. What about you? Do you remember your first experience?
The first one, I think I had to be around the same age then, 6. I think my sister's 4. But we were living in the apartment, and
where were you staying at?
That was East Chicago.
East Chicago, Indiana?
Yeah.
Okay.
And I remember she woke me up, and I asked her what was wrong, and she said that I think she said the dog was barking. So I got up, look, we had like a little Yorkie, and the dog was in the living room barking, but she was barking at the ceiling. So we're looking at the ceiling. What is she barking at? And the fan, which was off, was like slowly turning. And the dog was barking. And my mom was getting ready for work, so she was in the bathroom. So the dog's barking, the fan's spinning, and then we heard like a chair scoot in the kitchen, like someone drags it across the floor. That we heard what sounded like a chain slapping the door that would have went out into the porch. Jesus. And then we just screamed. And then my mom came out and said, "What's going on?" And we told her, and she's like, "Oh, it's this." I don't know what she even told us, to be honest with you, but whatever it was, just to get us to ignore it or forget what it was. But that was the first one. But I do remember that like vividly, like the chair sound, because it made a very distinct sound when we moved those. You know, it was like the linoleum floor.
Okay.
So the wooden chair had a very distinct sound. The chain hitting the door, that stuff was like, what was it? It was weird. Because my aunt owned the apartment building.
Okay.
And so we lived upstairs. My grandmother lived downstairs. My aunt, for a short time, lived in the smaller unit on the other side of us. And then they used to rent out like the bottom front. My grandmother they expanded the base, the first floor. They knocked down the other unit to make it like a one giant one. And I do know when they redid the floors, they found like stuff written, like numbers. My grandma claims, she would say it's voodoo, or they were doing some, big double stuff, but there was numbers written, and I couldn't remember what the symbols looked like because I was, probably like 7 or 8, but there was definitely stuff on the floors. And then in the basement, I do remember there was stuff written in the back part of the basement on the walls. So I don't know if someone was living there, maybe doing witchcraft. And then I think one time I was sleeping in my grandma's, like I used to sleep on the floor a lot, and then laying down on the floor, I remember hearing like a harmonica sound coming from the basement.
What?
And my grandfather, because my grandma only moved there after my grandfather died.
Okay.
They sold their old house. She sold the house and then ended up moving, or she rented that house out, and then she ended up moving into the apartment. So then, I just remember hearing the harmonica, and then I told her, not thinking that, your grandfather played a harmonica. So, but I heard it clear. It was like crystal clear. But it was coming from the basement.
Oh, man.
So I don't think it was my grandfather playing the harmonica for me, So, but then I think similar to that house you're saying, we lived in that apartment for 18 years. And it was more so my grandmother would say stuff, as saying that she would tell my mom, "Hey, the kids are running up and down the stairs," and like, "No, we're sleeping." And she said that it sounded like someone would be running up and down, and then we were throwing a ball that like bouncing off the wall and catching it. And she said she would hear that in the middle of the night.
Jeez.
Yeah, we're sleeping.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure if maybe, I know I didn't like being in the basement. I used to have to do laundry downstairs, and I'd run. I had the pull string light bulbs.
Yeah.
And I'd put the stuff in the washer, and I'd grab that string and go as far as I could to click it off, and then I just book it out of there, because it was it was the older brick basement.
Old school basements.
Yeah.
Creepy.
And then especially the back part, because my aunt had died in the early 90s. She had brain cancer, so they had put all her stuff in the back part of the basement. Now, when you went to the back part of the basement where the furnaces were, the basement it got more narrow. And all the way in the back, you had like almost get all the way down on all fours to crawl back there. And I never went back there. You just, obviously it's a basement, it's cold, but you had like a feeling just going past anything past there. It was like that much more colder and just had the eeriest feeling. So I never went back there. I never seen any shadows there. You know, the harmonica sound, hearing the thing when we were in the first one. But other than that, I don't recall ever seeing anything else until like my aunt's house. And then she had, which even to this day, I think she still has stuff. The owner died in her house. So, but there I would, remember seeing stuff there. But that was like my first shadows experience of seeing things moving.
It's creepy, man.
Yeah. I mean, it makes you wonder what, as you get older, you become more exposed to, movies and other cultures and religions. And you're like, starting like, okay, what are these demons? Are they ghosts? Are they, what are they?
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. It's a mystery, really. Figuring it out, deciphering it. And then, because, I mean, you could say you're an expert or someone could say they're an expert, but at the end of the day, they don't really know what it is. It's your best guess.
One of the mysteries I have right now, I just moved into this house May of last year, and there's a little boy here. He looks normal, white boy, and he makes his appearance sometimes, mainly in the hallway. My wife saw him a few times. We're still trying to find the history of this house. Did he die in here or what? But no interaction with my kids or nothing like that. And I try to talking to them about them. And just, I'm not trying to scare them or nothing. I'm just like, oh, hey, who are you guys talking to in here? And they're like, oh, I'm talking to my toys. And I'm like, oh, okay. So it's not that. But, yeah, in this house, we got a little boy. It's very random.
And after moving in here, like how soon after did you start seeing it? Or
we moved here in May. I think my first encounter with it was, I think June, because my kids were still in school. And I work overnights. And I remember waking up, my wife was out picking up my kids, but like I'm still half asleep, getting my coffee. And I'm in the kitchen, and I look by the back entrance, which leads to, the kitchen into the basement. And I saw a little white boy looking at me. And like it looked at me, it blinked, it turned his head, and it went downstairs. When I saw him, I'm like, oh, you must be so-and-so's friend. And then I walked downstairs, and I'm like still half asleep. And then it started clicking. I'm like, wait, why do I not hear footsteps going down the stairs? Wow. I look in the basement. It's dark in here. My kids ain't home yet. And I freaked out, so I went to go chill in the garage until my family came over. And I'm like, hey, what's going on, guys? And my wife's like, why are you in the garage? And I'm like, I'll tell you later. And then I told her, and she's like, I told you, there's a little boy in here, But that was my first encounter. And after that, I haven't seen it ever since. But in my living room, there's 2 entrances, and then one that leads in the hallway. Mm-hmm. It's like I said, it's random. No specific time at night or nothing. But it's nighttime. As we're watching TV in the dark, you'll see something popping up, like peekabooing, and then it's gone. And it'll do it a few times, and then that's it,
Is it a full shadow or like apparition, or what do you?
It's dark, so all I see is something black just popping out.
Okay.
And that's it.
And it's little. So.
Yeah, so I'm guessing if it's somebody peeking at us, it's probably their head, just like looking.
Wow.
And it's like, it's not my kids, because when you open the door, it's like a big clunk. So if they try to be discreet opening the door, you still hear the click. So it's not them. And if it is them, we go to bed, and then you just hear them say, okay. And then plus they're not quiet, so there's like boom, 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 boom. They're loud. This thing is just like,
wow,
what the hell is this, But we cleansed the house about a month ago, and we haven't seen it or nothing like that. So
since then,
no, or not the kid, but I haven't seen the kid ever since July of last year. But the peekabooing and stuff, we haven't seen that lately.
Really?
Yeah.
What did you use, like sage or?
We used sage and then Palo Santo.
Okay.
Palo Santo, and nothing. Nothing. I haven't seen nothing. And prior to cleansing the house, my wife was in the restroom, and she saw him in the mirror looking at her.
Okay.
Like he was standing right next to her, and she freaked out. She's seen him walking down the hall a few times, I work overnight, so I'm not here most of the time. I dedicate my time 90% of the time working,
Right.
so I'm not here most. And I'm like, sometimes I'm like, yeah, whatever. You didn't see nothing. But then no, it's the same. It's the same description of what she sees, what I saw, in July. That's it.
Now, when she's seen in the mirror, it's a full on apparition. Like,
Yeah,
it's not just a mist. It's
No.
like, okay,
No, it was like, and the thing is it's we're just like, oh, it's a little white boy, and he doesn't look pale or ugly. He looks like a healthy boy, and he just
wow.
he just stares at you, and it's like, ooh, what's going on here?
Right.
What happened to you here?
And the kids never said anything.
No. I still talk to them once in a while, like, hey, have you, because now they're getting into ghosts and stuff too, but on a more of a fun level with games and stuff. So I'm like, oh, did you guys ever see a ghost here? Ha ha ha. And they're like, no. And I'm like, oh, okay, cool. So I'm relief at that, because at least they're not experiencing something like I did, when I was young.
Okay, so they never seen anything. No. I thought you said before. I thought you had mentioned something, or they asked about it. I thought your oldest did. I could be wrong.
Yeah, no. I mean, he asked about heaven.
Okay, but never as far as like my door opened or nothing like that. Okay, well, that's good then.
No. My previous house in Hammond, he experienced some stuff there, but he was only 3 at the time.
Okay.
3 at the time, and my second son, he was just an infant. And this spirit was messing with him, which I guess followed me from our other home in Lake Station. That house in Lake Station was messed up. But the only way I know that is because I ended up seeing a medium clairvoyant, and right away she was on point on everything. And she said, yeah, the spirit doesn't like kids, and he passed away on your land, but he roamed the house with another spirit, which I was correct, because when we moved into that house, after a few days, I'm like, one, the house doesn't feel right. 2, I feel like there's 2 of them and they don't like me.
Okay.
Yeah, but that'll be another. There's tons of stories to share with
just from that house.
Yeah, wow. That house alone. At the Hammond house, when he was 3, there'd be nights he wakes up screaming, and then next my infant would start screaming, and we would just be like, "What's going on? What's going on?" And one night, my 3-year-old wakes up crying, so my wife gets up and she goes, calms him down, see what's up. Maybe he urinate on himself or something, but no, he just woke up crying. And then at the time, my second son was sleeping with us in the bassinet next to the bed. He started crying, so she's hearing him crying, and then she hears me getting up and cooing my infant. Mm-hmm. And I used to go bugga bugga boo goo, baby. Parents out there understand what I'm talking about.
Right.
So she's like, all right. So then my 3-year-old's back to bed, and then she's walking into our room. She hears me cooing the baby. She walks in the room, I'm knocked out in the bed, and she sees something floating over the bassinet, and then goes into the ceiling. And she was like, what in the world? What was this? After that, I waited a few days because I'm working a lot, and that's when I went to go see the clairvoyant to see what is going on. And she explained a lot of stuff to me, which I think makes more sense for why throughout my whole life I've been experiencing stuff, and I just feel like I'm in the wrong place in the wrong time, and I just see it. Okay. But she explained more stuff. I get into detail later about that. And so, yeah, I had to cleanse the house. She told me, make sure no one's in the house. Make sure you remove all your pets. And I started in the basement. And I wish I still had it. I had an iPad. I just video record. And then I put it in my hoodie sweater. And, I'm saging. This is my first time ever saging. So I was wondering if I was doing it right and stuff. But as I'm going, through every corner, every crevice and everything, I'm hearing movement upstairs.
And you were by yourself?
Yeah. And the thing is, it wasn't footsteps. It was just movement. Like if someone was standing still and like leaning over trying to grab something, and you could hear the floors crack. Okay. It was like that. So I'm like, okay. And then as I'm getting up, going upstairs, I get to the kitchen and I smell aftershave. Oh, okay. And the thing is, it's not. I have aftershave. I went back then. I used to shave a lot, and it wasn't my scent. It was a different type of aftershave. And I'm like, what? So then, okay, keep going. And then as I'm going in the rooms, I'm hearing movement in the porch. And in the porch, like I said, it was just like somebody was in there like freaking out. Just, I don't know how to explain it, but it wasn't footsteps. It was like if someone was in there like going back and forth.
Okay.
And finally, when I got to the porch, I did it too. Did my the process of cleansing the house and ending it, and we were clear after that.
So it's almost like the sage that basically drove it out of the house.
I'm hoping so. Yeah.
And then after you did that, did you have any other experiences?
Yeah.
You still did have stuff.
Yeah, only because me being in a dark place, and what the clairvoyant told me is I can possibly attract spirits, especially when you're really, really negative and stuff. And I was in a dark place, and after that, we started encountering stuff again, but it wasn't what it was before. It was mostly like a silhouette in the kitchen while we're in the living room watching TV at night, and it was like that. It was on and off. It was, it wasn't every night. It wasn't, a certain time. It was just in the nighttime when we're watching TV. We get up to get something to drink, and as you're walking, you're just like, geez.
It's right there. Yeah.
But I do have 2 pictures that, hopefully we could share somehow with the people that are listening. One picture, it's funny. And one picture, I was knocked down on the couch. It was like 4 or 5 in the morning. It was my day off, so, I drank good. And I'm knocked down on the couch. At this time, our Roku remote broke. So we had to use the app on our phone.
Okay.
So I'm knocked down on the couch. So then my oldest son gets up and he grabs my phone and he turns on the TV again. But I guess he takes selfies of himself. I could show you the slides, and all the time matches up. On one of the pictures, he takes a picture of me knocked down on the couch in my drawers and everything. Okay. And, so fast forward in the morning, I'm up and I'm like, hey, who grabbed my phone? I'm looking and I see the pictures and I start laughing. And I'm like, oh, man. And then that embarrassing picture of me knocked down the couch. I go show my friends. I'm like, look at this, look at this. And they're like, oh, dude, what's wrong? I'm like, I was drunk. I was knocked out.
Right.
But then you look at the picture and there's something on the couch with me at the edge of the couch.
Towards your head or towards your feet?
Like on the other side of the couch. So I'm on the left side, and something was on the right side.
Oh, I know what you're. I remember the picture now. Okay.
And it looked like somebody's huddling down.
It almost looked like a kid.
Yeah.
Okay, I remember.
And I'm just like, yo, Smio, what is this? And the thing is, in my experience of taking pictures, it's always a few days later or a week later where I go back and just look at them, and I capture something. Mm-hmm. At this time, my son captured it. And I'm looking at the picture. It looks like somebody is like chilling on the couch with me.
Yeah.
I think it was that same year, too. I think it was 2018 or 19, before pandemic. And my father came over to visit. And again, he wanted to take pictures with his grandsons. So my dad's holding both of my kids, and I start taking pictures. And, you can never get a perfect shot with kids,
Right.
So, again, if you look at the times of all the pictures, all those slides, the times are matching. And in one of the pictures, you see like what looks like a halo in the way, but it's not a halo, but it's dots, like colorful dots.
Okay.
And it's around my youngest son.
Oh, okay.
And then the next picture, it's not there no more. And then if you go before that picture, it's not there. And then that one picture appears.
I mean, that sounds like it wouldn't be anything necessarily bad, maybe.
I don't know what it is. But, I mean, the colors look beautiful. I mean, they're real colorful. Yeah. And I don't know what that is, though,
That seems like it could be something possibly like maybe like a guardian angel or something, maybe a positive spirit looking over. I imagine if it was something negative, it would probably be like, like the orbs or something dark, a mist. But something like that seems like it could be possibly positive. I mean, I would think. I don't know. I guess it could be anything.
But, yeah, no, that was the...
And you still have that picture, though?
Yeah, I still got them. I'll send them to you. See, I'm not crazy.
No, yeah. I mean, no, I think that's pretty cool. I think could put them up on the website. It should have up pretty soon. So I'll have them up there, and then people can go on there and stuff we've talked about. Maybe we can just post that stuff, and I think that'd be pretty cool. I got one cool photo. I think it was 2012. Me and my wife, we were staying in Hobart. Remember those apartments? Yes.
Yeah, the nice ones, not the ghetto ones across the street.
Right.
But one of our cats passed away, and we just came back from lunch, and then my wife had to step out to do some errands. So I get home, and I had 2 cats at the time. So the first one greets me at the door along with my dog, and I'm looking for the other one because we know she was a little sick. But at the time, with money and everything, we couldn't afford to take her to a vet. And I found her on the side of the couch, deceased, And since we were gone for a few hours, I think she passed away as soon as we left because It was already, rigor mortis, stiff and everything. I take pictures of her, and I sent it to my wife. Say, hey, she passed on. But in one of the pictures, I'm holding her, I'm grabbing her, and just to show that I wasn't joking, because she was, stiff. And I'm holding her at an angle, and then, I sent it to her. So she believed me. Okay, she's like, okay, yeah, okay, we'll bury her when I get home. And then again, I think it was a week later, I'm looking at the pictures again, and I'm like, what the hell did I capture here? And in the picture, it looks like a ray of light or something coming out of the cat.
Oh, okay.
But by the paw, where it starts off, it's kind of transparent, and then it gets like a grayish white color, and it goes up my arm in the picture. And then when it gets on my arm, it looks serrated.
Oh.
And by the time it's on my arm, it's like a solid color. But by the paw, it's transparent. And I got to look for that one. That one's real cool. And
wow.
So, yeah. So
that sounds like a life force leaving.
Yeah. So.
And then it went into your arm.
Yeah. But when I'm taking the picture, I didn't see nothing in real life. And again, like I said, it was a week later. I looked at the pictures. I was missing my cat. I missed her so much. And I'm like, what the hell is this?
And like you said, it's always going back.
Yeah.
That you would notice that it was there.
Yeah. And it's never like, oh, I'm going to take a picture of this. No. I'm just taking pictures of my family or something I see funny.
Right.
And then a few days later or a week later, it's just, hey, there's something in the background here, So.
Wow. That's pretty interesting. You have a gift.
Shit, I don't know. I just, like I told you, I think I'm in the wrong place in the wrong time. And I experience or capture something,
Yeah. Okay. I guess we can go back to like some of the apparitions that you would see. Would you ever say anything? Like, did you ever?
No.
No interaction as far as like you saying anything?
No, because one, I'm not, from what I read, don't talk to them. Don't encounter them unless you know what you're doing, which I don't know what I'm doing. And so I'm not going to be like those people, start versing a Bible or something, I'm not going to do that because I don't know what it is, and I'll see it for that millisecond and then it's gone. Wherever I go, I might see stuff like that all the time. Perfect example, what I mostly see, not in this house, but like once in a while, if you ever watched that documentary, The Demon House?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thousand Garrett.
There's a scene where they're in the house, all the cameras are set up. One of the cameramen is like looking in the bathroom and then moving away into the hallway or something. And then to do a replay, he starts talking, oh, well, we captured this. Well, in the bathroom, he captures what looks like, it's like mid-level. It looks like a rag, like moving quick.
Oh.
That stuff I see all the time. So I don't know if the documentary is real. People say that his show is fake and stuff. But if that was real, or it's fake, they did a great job, because that's the stuff I see all the time. It looks like a rag, like you grab it and you just whip it out, and it's just like the way it moves. That's what I usually see, and it's like when I see stuff like that, I'm just like, oh, geez, here we go. What else? What else am I gonna feel now? What's gonna pop up in front of me?
Right.
But
now, how often would you say it for you? Like, it happens like on a daily basis.
No, it's not. Like I said, it's random for me. It's random. But like in this house, haven't seen nothing like that.
That snap,
that rag form type of thing. Other than the little peekabooing in the hallway and that one experience in July with the white boy spirit. That's it. But like at the Hammond House, I will see a lot of that. The Lake Station House, I will see a lot of that. One time the Lake Station House, we were getting ready to go to church. We were going Saturday services.
Okay.
And it was, I think, August. It was still summer outside. I'm getting my hair done and in the bathroom, and I just hear someone say my name. Not shouting, not screaming, but like in a calm voice, someone just said my name in my ear. And I'm like, what in the world? What's that? So I'm like, oh, it must be outside. Our neighbors were always outside playing. But I'm like, you could hear the difference, the noise barrier and stuff, like from them shouting and having a good time outside, from that tone of voice that said my name in my ear.
It was like right next to you.
Yeah. And it was calm. And I'm like, all right, you know what? Let me just finish up here and let's get out of here. Everybody who came over my house at the Lake Station, they knew the place was haunted. They experienced stuff too. The lights flickering while they're there. Stuff would get thrown off the shelves. Not the shelves, the counter of the kitchen. They thought they saw someone walking in the little hallway. Or if they slept in the guest bedroom, they felt like somebody was in there with them.
Really?
Yeah. Like I said, I got many stories from that I could share on.
Just to do a whole episode.
Yeah,
on
that's a whole 2 episodes probably. If that one, oh man, if the clairvoyant is true, what she told me, it was a negative spirit that didn't like kids and it didn't like me.
Wow.
So to the point where my dog interacted,
Really?
growling at it at night,
Okay.
looking at the hallway stuff. But I'll stop there if I don't want to. That'll be another episode I could
Yeah.
share.
No, that'd be. That's good information. Are you? And then you still talk with her or?
No. I haven't made contact with her. I think I don't know if she's stopped doing it.
Okay.
Or she's busy with her personal life. Because I know she has some stuff going on. She's a very, very nice lady. Good soul.
And I can't remember if you said now, did she, when you explained all this stuff to her, she did say there's a reason? She did tell you that, right?
Yeah. And if I can remember, this was 2018.
Yeah.
October 2018. Because I actually went to go seek answers, And like I said, she was on point at everything. I can't say word for word. But I guess study more or learn about it. I can, too, make contact with spirits. And talk to them or interact like what she can do. But she also warned me, too, that if I proceed forward, that to be ready to encounter negative spirits, too. And for your family, it's going to be experiencing them. And you got to know how to remove them. So I got excited when she told me that, but then I'm like, no, I don't want my family experiencing that. It's not fair. So I never proceeded forward to doing anything, learning or studying or practicing, however you say it.
Right.
But she cleansed me that day, and she said I had a negative entity attached to me, which I never heard about. She said I had a elemental demon attached to me. When she described it, I saw it before at the Lake Station House.
What she described to you, you saw?
Yeah.
But this is before she told you that. When she described it to you, you recalled.
Yeah.
You had seen that.
I'm like, I've seen it before, like for a glimpse or so. And I'm just thinking, I'm just tired. That was just my imagination, But the way she described the thing, I'm like, bet I saw it before. I saw it like twice. And yeah, she said it was attached to me, and she did her cleansing and the whole process of I'm not big on it, but
Right.
or for the use the right words. But after that, I felt good. I didn't feel like I had pressure on my back no more. And for a few months, I felt good. That's it.
But then eventually it came back. Like, how did you feel after that? That it wore off, or is that what you're saying? That feeling?
No, the feeling, that specific feeling, it never came back.
That never came back.
Yeah.
So do you think if what she's saying, if it was that elemental entity?
Demon?
Yeah. So you think it maybe detached from you then?
Yeah.
Okay. And she didn't specify why, or maybe because they are just attracted to you that it latched on, or
That's what she said something similar to that.
Wow, elemental spirits.
Yeah, I never heard of that until she told me, and I started. So I went to go read up on it, and I'm like, what? Stuff exists? Okay, now I know.
Because when you say elemental, it almost sounds like mystical creatures.
Right. Yeah.
That's what I would describe it as.
That's the first thing I thought too. So I'm like talking about
like elves, pixies, fairies,
fairy tale stuff. And, they're not. She was like, they're not from this world.
It's that shadow realm, the paranormal dimensions, which kind of makes me wonder that, like, so like your experiences, things that if they're attracted to you, and if you're able to see them on a more consistent basis than say I would be able to, is it that you have the unique ability that you're able to slightly peek into the dimensions? Okay, we'll call them dimensions that they operate in.
Okay.
That's kind of that's my line of thinking. And when people say that kind of stuff, that's where my mind goes to. Kind of like maybe like people that like that have schizophrenia. Obviously, they're seeing things that aren't there. They can describe things in vivid detail.
Yeah.
And you always say, well, they're crazy, they're schizophrenic. But is it possible that maybe they're is diagnosed as a mental illness? They have a unique ability to where they can see things that may really be there.
Yeah.
That's kind of interesting. Thinking maybe that's possible. You have that unique ability. You can see that. Or like kind of like the near-death stuff. People said, I almost died. I saw my grandfather calling out to me. And then, I may say a specific thing that he told me that I don't know what it means, but to another family member, when they say, he called me this name or he said this name, and they're like, well, that was your great-great-grandfather. and I didn't know that. So how did I get that information? Because you hear those stories a lot.
You hear them a lot. And then similar stories, too, of them almost passing away. They always say, I seen the light. And it's like, or you're looking up at the, the surgical lights that are, in the
right.
When they're giving you chest compressions, or, Narcan or something. But no, they always say, I seen the light. And it's people from different faiths, not just one religion. Is it all good stuff, no matter what religion you're in? Does it all lead you to the same happy realm,
right.
For eternal life, or what?
It kind of reminds me of, I kind of think kind of how you said about the cat, when in the picture you saw, almost like what I would say, like it's the cat's life force.
Yeah.
To me, it's going into you. That's why I kind of think of that, like in Constantine. Remember when he took the cat and put his feet into the water to go into, we'll say, the shadow realm, and that the little demons or whatever they were crawling around. And if you notice how bright he was, and there was I'll have to find it and send it to you. There was a YouTube video of I don't know if he was a psychologist, but he was kind of talking about on the lines of like the DMT, and especially in those near-death situations, because your body is lacking oxygen, the natural DMT is getting flushed into your body. Like you're producing more than you normally would have, and that's why you're able to have those type of experiences. But they say that your physical body, and when your spirit leaves you, you have like a tether. That's your life force. And that when you go into those shadow realms, kind of like in Constantine, you remember that if you look, they were smelling as they were moving around, because they know, hey, this ain't one of us. Like, what's he doing here? And they're attracted. They want to attach. And in the video, I remember the guy was saying that they for sure can see it. They know you're not one of them, and they want to attach you. And they say basically like that tether, that they can take that. And if you don't know what you're doing, kind of like the astral projection stuff, people try to do it. Yeah, that's the one way back into you. And then I'm assuming that's how possibly one way people become possessed.
Maybe, yeah, possibly. I don't know. I just never tried it before. So
the astral projection?
Yeah, I experienced it before. But, again, like every other story, I was dreaming and I saw my house. I was on top of the roof. It was like one of those dreams, but except I just saw myself sleeping, and I saw my wife sleeping.
Okay.
And I'm just like, in my dream, I'm like, all right, well, go outside, and that's it, I didn't think nothing of it until I woke up, and I'm just like, was that actual projection?
You didn't see anything else though, right?
No. Like I said, if it was that experience, I just stood in the house. I went to the kitchen, I went to the laundry room.
Okay.
I made sure all the doors were locked.
After you woke up?
No, like during that phase,
Okay, when you believe it might have been actual projection. I mean, but it's an area that you were familiar with.
Yeah.
When I had said before about my aunt's house, when she moved out of the apartment and again bought her house, which had the owner killed himself in there, and there's always been stuff going on as far as like paranormal, seeing things, hearing things. But when my cousin was taking martial arts classes, my aunt would take them, of course, and she would talk to the owner. It was a husband and wife. The wife had brought it up to her, which is kind of odd, and told her, hey, I practice astral projection. And she's like, oh, okay. And because she was thinking like, well, why would you approach somebody? And that's like one of the first things, like, topic to discuss. So she had mentioned it, and she always thought that was weird. And then shortly after that, I don't know, weeks, but she said one day she was in the kitchen, my aunt, and she was cooking, and she said she looked down the hallway and she seen an apparition, and she's looking, and it was a lady in a dress, and she's looking at her, and she's like thinking like, what is it? And she said the lady turned, because she was the person, their back was to her, and they were looking into my cousin's bedroom as he was sleeping. And so then the lady turned around, and she said it was the lady from the martial arts place.
Oh my goodness.
And then she said as soon as she turned around and seen her, that she just disappeared like that. So I was like, well, that's weird. Like, why would you go to my cousin's house, stare at my little cousin? That was kind of odd. But, was it really her, or was it, the guy that killed himself in the house? Or
I don't know. Because
she would have stuff like, she was like in the basement doing laundry, she said, and that behind her, she said, someone said, do you think she can see us?
What?
Which means, was there more than one? So I'm like, well, what did you do? She just said that she put the washing machine on, and she just went upstairs. But hers is another one, like, there's a feeling in the house.
Okay.
Like, you don't want to be there by yourself.
Gotcha.
It's just like almost like a heaviness, I guess, especially in the basement. She had like a second bathroom in the basement, and I hated this. Like, I have to go down there. And it was to that, because like when her and my uncle were separating, you know, at one point he was living downstairs, and he always accused her of coming downstairs, and similar to how you were saying with your kid, like pulling the feet.
Yeah.
He was like, "You're down here, coming down here, messing with me, and pulling at my feet and pulling the blanket." Which, like, come on, do you really think she was going down there and doing that? Like, it's something else. But yeah, there was something always eerie about that basement.
You ever got your legs pulled sleeping?
No. You know what's weird is that I'm the type of person that, so like if we watched a scary movie, you know, I could forget about it, but the minute it gets laid out and it's time for me to go to bed, that all those thoughts are now flooding back into my head about it. And that's one thing. I don't know what I would do, but that was like always a fear, like my feet. I'd always dream like someone's gonna grab my feet. I've never felt it. I always think it's gonna happen, but it's never happened. Thank God. I don't think I've ever had anything like that as far as a touch on my, like, I've never felt anything like that.
I experienced it 2 times at the Hammond House, 2021 summertime. But the thing is, the 2 times I experienced it, I'm waking up. So I'm waking up in the bed and I can't move. And
oh, okay,
it's like, you know, my brain is telling me move, but I can't. Something's here. Boom, boom. Like, it's clicking in my head. Like, something's not right. But like, I'm half asleep still, so I'm just telling myself I'm just dreaming it. But the 2 times, yeah, I'm like sleeping on my side, and yeah, someone grabs my ankles, and they don't pull, they don't, like, it's nothing bad. They just like it's funny in a way because they grab my legs and like they just like swing them a little bit,
okay,
like slowly, and then they let them go. But the second time that happened, same experience and everything. I can't move, and then my telling myself, crap, here we go again. And they grabbed my legs and they swung them slowly. And then before it stopped, you felt one hand let go and tap the bottom of my heel. Like tap, 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 tap. And then it was gone. And then I could move again. I'm just like, man, what in the world is this? And that's the only 2 times I ever experienced that in life.
It sounds like sleep paralysis.
Probably. That's another story too.
Yeah.
But
I'm assuming you were on your back.
No, I was on my side. I was on my left
okay.
side. So my legs, you know, you're curved, you know, your legs are bent a little bit, and they just moved them like that. You know, it was only for like a few seconds, but it was, like I said, it was no aggressive feel or nothing. It was just like if somebody was playing with me, messing with me. But what really got me was the second experience. Someone tapped my heel. Like, you felt the other hand let go, and then just like tapped my heel, and then that was done. So I don't know what that was, man. Like I said, that Hammond House, it was, you know, I had some, I don't know what it was.
Right.
You know, but.
You never had that happen again?
No. If anything, I'm more paranoid now. Like, I make sure my feet are covered.
Oh, yeah.
You know, the mighty blanket will protect you.
Wow. I mean, I would imagine it seems like it's sleep paralysis. That's the one thing I've kind of looked into a lot with. Just like your story, they're very all similar as far as once that non-movement comes into play, I think you're into that low oxygen state. It's usually people, I think, that have like sleep apnea or that snore. They have some type of disruption in their sleep. Their body's probably, I think it's flooded with more DMT than you normally would have. And you're into that, almost that shadow. You're not quite into that shadow realm area. You're just like wetting your feet, like in the swimming pool, just putting your feet in. I think that's almost what it is. Because I had talked to, there's a guy at work who, he had the same experience you did a few times to where he couldn't move. He knew he was awake, but he could not move any part of his body. And he said that every time he experienced, he would see a shadow appear. And I think he would always see the shadow moving. So he started looking into it, and he came similar lines as far as research into breathing and the sleep apnea stuff. So he started doing like almost like yoga breaths.
Okay.
So he was restricting his oxygen because he's breathing in and out and then holding his breaths. So then he said he was able to put himself into that paralysis state. And he said that's the last time he did it because he saw that shadow again, but this time he saw it move to his bed. And he said when the shadow disappeared, his bed went down, like someone sat down. And then he said then he was able to move and it went away.
Gee.
And then he didn't do it again. So I've looked it up. There is a guy, they call him the Iceman, not the serial killer, or not the hitman, but there's another Iceman, Wim Hof, who he does like those ice baths. Like he'll go like in a Speedo and he'll sit out in the ice, and he's really good at controlling his breath. And he does like it's like a natural DMT, same thing. And he'll do like lessons. You can even look on YouTube, and his voice is telling you when to inhale, when to exhale, how long to hold it for, and you can put yourself into like a sleep paralysis state or a low oxygen state. And he'll do them like in a cabin.
Okay.
They have all these people laying them down on the floor, and he's talking over them, doing the breathing. And then people, you can tell it hits because there's people that are like laughing hysterically. There's people that are crying hysterically. And I think it's a small amount of DMT that's more just above what you normally would have to have like vivid dreams and stuff like that. So it's kind of interesting. I think it has something to play with it for sure. So maybe one day we can do an episode on maybe just that, because I mean, they say with the psychedelics, you know, when they're smoking DMT, that's like because it's such a high amount of it that you know, they say it's like your body's being shot out into outer space, and everything just, they said completely everything around you just disappears, and it's like, you know, geometrical shapes. And
yeah, that's the stories I hear. I'm like, I want to learn more about it, because a lot of stories I hear are similar to that. And these people are not spiritual. They're not, you know, experiencing what I'm experiencing, you know, or sensitive, whatever. They're just Joe Schmo. They decide to do it with their friends,
right.
And they tell me the stories are similar, and I'm like, oh, that's interesting. Why are you experiencing it? You know.
Well, so, they had to do something to do it. It's where you can. It just happens for you, almost essentially. Yeah. So definitely more episodes. You know, we can go into, I think, more specific topics like that. I think that'd be pretty cool. So I think we can call it for this one. Personal experiences.
Yes, we can. Many more to share. That's for sure. In the line of work I do, I experience some stuff too. Those are pretty wild.
Okay, for sure. And then hopefully we get those pictures and we can put them up. The website I am working on, and it should be up pretty soon, so we can have all the access to that aside from the podcast. And then maybe I want to put up it'll be through an email, but people can submit maybe their own personal stories, and then that we can talk about it. Or
that's great.
I think that'd be kind of interesting. Get other people and see if maybe they've had the same experiences, and then if anything, maybe help them figure out what's going on. I think that'd be pretty cool.
We can try, but yeah, anybody listening, you know, share your experience with us, and then we can share with the world, you know, and go on from there.
All right, sounds good. All right, and everybody, thank you for listening, and until next episode.
Thank you again, everybody.
Thank you. All right.